Comic Stew.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Comic Stew. My name's Aaron, and as always, I'm joined by my permanent fellow host, Mr. JC Argensinger.
You still can't figure out a way to make that sound proper.
Permanent fellow host, that's pretty proper, JC.
Just sounds weird when you say it like that.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to keep saying it just to get that smile on your face that I love so much. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Are you doing good? Heard you a little under the weather today.
Yeah, I've been dying a little bit, but I'm a professional.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say I respect that you're making it for the show.
And by professional, I mean I'm not being paid at all. But
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
That's all good. That's all good. This show is worth no money, anyways.
It is.
Yes.
It isn't when you have that attitude.
Well, we're late this week, so this week is definitely worth no money. Sorry about that, everybody. Since we're recording during the day for once, I'm a little curious to ask this, but you sipping on anything, JC?
Nothing right now.
Yeah, I'm being
probably gonna sip on some Deadpool.
Nice. Well, I'm sipping on water, so nothing too exciting there. All right, should we just get straight to the news? It was kind of a big week.
It's always a big week, Aaron, but let's go on.
The week that was, well, I think the first thing, which is kind of a big deal, comics-wise, was DC apparently announced their latest comics plans for their line. They're calling it DC Rebirth, and apparently they're launching 32 new series. They're lowering the price of their books, and they are making a lot of the titles twice monthly.
So really raising the price.
Well, they're giving you 2 books at least, but they're lowering the price of all their books to $2.99, which I'm actually really surprised about. First of all, but
if you got to buy two books a month.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's good, like that's fine.
I guess I worry about the quality twice a month.
Yeah, I do too, for sure.
I also feel like didn't we just we get reborn or something?
Well, okay, that's the thing that I think is pretty funny about this is that I didn't watch this interview, but apparently Jeff Johns was talking about how they want to restore some legacy to the DC universe, and I think a lot of fans were a lot of old school fans were kind of turned off by basically restarting the universe with the New 52, and I just think it's kind of funny that 52 issues in, they're basically resetting everything again. And it sounds like it's going to be a mixture of the old and the new. And it seems like they are trying to pander to the old school fan, probably bringing a lot of the elements of the old DC universe into this.
Yeah, it seems like from what I've read of the current version of the DC universe that they needed to do something because it wasn't appealing to most comic people, I don't think, because you're ignoring all of what you've been reading for 10 years or 15 years or 30 years or whatever,
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, they did bring a lot of the Batman continuity into the New 52, and I think they did that with the Green Lantern as well. I mean, some series they definitely restarted pretty significantly. Like I think the Superman line got a pretty good overhaul, and Wonder Woman. So, I mean, yeah, they did have some elements of continuity still there, but yeah, for the most part, it was a complete clean slate with the New 52. And yeah, I guess, I mean, the only thing I can think of is just they must be getting trounced in sales, and so they feel like they have to do something desperate. And this seems like a pretty desperate move to me, to be honest. But I think there are a lot of DC fans that they're probably trying to get back, and maybe this will bring some people back.
I think there's definitely an aspect that having a new number one is always something that sells, right?
Yeah.
And I fear that both DC and Marvel are doing a lot of this.
Well, Marvel even more so. I mean, let's give DC some props because they at least kept a lot of their books numbered like through number 52. Like they at least kept those going in the last like 4 or 5 years, whatever. Marvel has been restarting their books, doing soft reboots after events. I mean, it seems like every single year.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I think certain things are, work and don't work. Like we discussed last week, I don't think the whole Bruce Wayne not being Batman thing is something that works. Um, it might work. It might work in like an Elseworld title,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it works better if you've read the whole series. I don't know, but
Yeah. Well, I think yeah.
but nevertheless,
That's-
like if you're trying to sell books and anyone picks up a book and Bruce Wayne isn't Batman, you're you're losing 90% of people.
Well, I think the people, for the most part, that are reading issue 49 of the Batman title, they've got Bruce as Batman for 30 or probably 40 issues. I'm not caught up, so I'm not sure when Commissioner Gordon took over, but I think it was around issue 40. So you got a good 40 issues of Bruce as Batman. And I think people that have stuck with the title that long probably like it's fine to throw in something like that for a little while. I mean, obviously we all know that Bruce is going to come back at some point. But yeah, when they relaunch the book and get all those hopefully new readers on that number one, of course Bruce is going to be Batman.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I don't know that like you're not better served doing something like if you're trying to get new readers and trying to sell books. I would think you'd be better served doing something like an Ultimate line where, hey, this is a new universe, a new similar new universe, but it's accessible because you can start it from the beginning, um, as opposed to just trotting out a new number one so that people are like, oh, this is a good jumping on point. Um,
yeah, I mean, they kind of did that though with the New 52. They basically just made a new universe,
well,
which is what the Ultimates did.
what I mean is like having them be separate entities.
Oh, um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I feel like a lot of I don't know. I mean, the New 52 is a pretty big hit when it launched. I think all the old DC fans were checking it out at the beginning, and a lot of new people jumped on too because of the clean slate approach. So I think at the start of the New 52, they did have a big reader base, and obviously that's kind of like trailed off. I think this is a play to get the old school DC fan back because I think probably a lot of those guys were pretty disenfranchised by just the erasing of continuity. So I this just feels like a play to me to get the old school fan back. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I don't know what elements of continuity they're going to put back into this, but just reading it like on the surface level, that's what it seems like to me.
Well, we shall see.
We shall see. So 30, I guess 32 titles. They're all $2.99, which um, I think that's a great move by them. It's funny because when you compare DC and Marvel with the pricing, Marvel has just been going up with their pricing. I mean, some of their books are actually a lot of their books because they keep launching so many number ones are $4.99 now. Um, the rest of their books are $3.99, and then that's just on a regular basis. So it's nice that DC's doing this. I think that it kind of highlights the difference between DC and Marvel, though, because I think Marvel is more about actually making money with their comics business. And DC, I've heard this, like, I don't know if this is the gospel truth, but I've heard that DC really views its comics line as kind of their IP factory. Like, they get a lot of their, ideas for movies and TV shows from the comics line. So they don't really see it as like a big money making operation, and I think they're fine kind of like taking a loss and hopefully just getting more readers, more people into comics. So I think that's kind of their play with making the books $2.99,
Well,
which
I mean, I go back to, um, if you're looking at it like on a monthly basis, it's $5.98 a month versus $4.99 a month. Yes, you get 2 books, but are they going to be the same length books? Are they going to be the same quality books? I don't think the quality can be the same if it's twice a month. I mean, or the same length if they're twice a month. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, well, maybe it can be.
Well,
But it's going to be hard for if it's the same artist to be pumping out suddenly 2 books at the same quality.
yeah, well, I'm sure that's just the editors are gonna have to figure that out with the artist. And yeah, obviously quality is an issue, but if they plan it right, I mean, it can definitely be done. I mean, these are the books that are shipping twice monthly. It's Aquaman, Batman, The Flash, Green Arrow, Green Lanterns, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Action and Detective Comics, which, by the way, have gone back to their original numbering. Which I'm not a huge DC guy, but I'm glad that's like back to the way it was before, because those are some of the longest those comics had actually never been renumbered up until the New 52, and I guess Dan DiDio was like trying to make sure they didn't get renumbered with number 1, but apparently like the top people were so like hell bent on launching 52 comics with a number 1 on them that they made Dan for eschew the original numbering. So I think it's kind of funny that they're back to the original numbering now, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously having the original numbering is just better for a lot of reasons, but I also like the model that Marvel has done at times, where it would show like, oh, this is issue 30 of this run, but it's overall it's issue whatever.
Yeah. I remember when they used to do that too. Like when I started reading comics kind of hardcore in college, they were doing a lot of that with like Daredevil and I can't remember some of the other ones, but yeah, I remember they were doing that with a lot of
I
books.
think they did it with Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like you should pay tribute at least. To where
Yeah. Well, if there's 2 books you do that with, I feel like Action Comics and Detective Comics. I mean, I don't know how big of sellers those are, with besides like the hardcore DC fan, anyways. So yeah, I don't feel like you have to slap a number 1 on Action Comics. Like people know that's a long running series.
Well, then you look at the numbers; they're close to 1,000. So then DC can sell issue 1,000 in like a year because like they're doing 2 a month. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Actually, yeah, I was scrolling down. That was only the twice monthly books in July, or I'm sorry, June. So there are some more twice monthly books. But there's also a lot of monthly books, and those are and all the books are $2.99. So, I mean, personally, if I was faced, okay, so if I was faced with the prospect of buying 2 books from Marvel, and one of them was Amazing Spider-Man, and one of them was some book that I wasn't that interested in, but it was like, well, this is all that's out there, so I guess I'll read it. I mean, if it was between that, let's say, I don't know, I really can't say this with Marvel, but like, let's say, like a Devil Dinosaur book, which actually I probably would read, so I shouldn't use that. But let's say like
you're such a Marvel homer.
I know, I really am. I was like, actually, a Devil Dinosaur book I would read. But let's just say like New Avengers. There's like 10 Avengers books. Let's say this is just like number 9 out of 10 of Avengers books. If like they're gonna get rid of like New Avengers and give me 2 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, I would rather take that. Like I'd rather get 2 issues of a book that I really am into than getting 1 book and then 1 book that I'm kind of sort of into.
Well, no, for sure. But I just think I just go back to the element of quality.
Yeah, and it is asking a lot of the fan base to invest in twice monthly books, but I mean, it seems like they're keeping the line down. I mean, it's only 32 books that they're launching, so if they stay around that area of number of books, I mean, that's not terrible. I mean,
Oh no, I'm not saying it's terrible. I just, we'll see how it all works out, I guess.
yeah, and especially like compared to what Marvel's doing, like Marvel is just like flooding the market with books. So I kind of like DC's approach in this.
Yeah,
All
let's move
right,
on.
well, enough about that. Yeah, there was a lot of stories from last week and this week a little bit, but one I saw that was kind of interesting was that Danny McBride is joining the cast of Alien Covenant, which is the follow-up to Prometheus. Obviously, I thought that was interesting because it's a serious role and it's Danny McBride. So, but it's kind of cool. I like it when comedic actors put on their serious chops for movies. So this should be interesting. You know,
Um,
I could see him
I,
as like
I just
uh,
I just can't wait for the alien to pop out of his chest.
yeah. No, I can totally see Danny McBride as a crew member. So it's kind of cool. What do you think about this new movie that they're doing, which seems to
Um,
be tying more into the Alien universe even more so now?
I mean, obviously, like Prometheus kind of failed on that level. I think to capture the fans' imagination anyway. Um,
Yeah.
I go back. I'm bummed that the other Alien movie got pushed away. That was going to be
Oh,
it was going to bring
yeah.
back Ripley and Hicks and
Yeah. Yeah. Alien 5.
yeah, but we should see. I mean, it's a Ridley Scott movie. I'll go watch it, obviously. But
Yeah, I'm kind of. It sucks because I feel like Neil Blomkamp has good movies in him, and I was really curious to see how he would do with like a licensed property.
yeah, I
Because
felt like it was going to be like one of his better movies as a result of kind of reining in a bit of his talent.
right, right. All right, so I saw this story as well. This is kind of just, I guess it doesn't pertain to you as much since you don't watch these shows, but apparently Flash and Supergirl are crossing over. Uh,
Supergirl?
I feel like that's kind of old news, but
You watch Supergirl?
I do not, and I'm kind of mad because they're gonna force me to watch an episode of Supergirl because apparently the Flash is gonna guest star on Supergirl, not the other way around.
Well, I mean, I guess the only surprising thing from this is that they're on different networks. Um, but
Well, yeah, but CBS I think owns part of the CW,
yeah, I don't know how
so
that plays out. But
and
yeah,
they're produced by the same person. So yeah, I guess there was talk about how from a legal standpoint it couldn't work before, which surprised me because of what I just mentioned. But it's interesting. I guess I guess this Flash is going to be from like a different dimension because I think Supergirl doesn't exist in the Flash and Arrow universe.
oh, good. So it'll be accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I think they're trying to get the Supergirl viewers who haven't watched Flash kind of to buy into why Flash is there. And all right,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, enough of that. I know you don't watch either of those shows, but I may have to watch an episode of Supergirl now. All right. So from DC, let's move on to Marvel because we had some pretty big Marvel doings over the last week.
I don't remember what happened.
There was a little movie. Well, it was a little movie that opened up that ended up being a big movie.
Oh yeah,
JC?
that movie that no one wanted to green light. And that movie
Yeah, and it was 10 years in development, and
that
people
movie
were
was
saying it was
45 bucks.
gonna. Yeah, people were saying it was only gonna make this much money, and ended up just blowing everything out of the water. And of course, we're talking about Deadpool.
Yeah,
And we both saw this movie, correct?
we both saw it. I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I saw it anyway.
No, I saw it. I saw it last weekend, and I friggin' loved it.
It was good. It was good. I also heard some rumors now that there's a fan petition out there to get Deadpool to host SNL.
Oh, really? Oh, that'd be amazing.
Just hilarious.
Oh man. Wow, I would actually watch SNL if that happened. Oh, I really did think I thought it was so good. Like the fourth wall breaking was just perfect in that movie. It just I've talked about this before, how I've never really gotten into the Deadpool comic, but I just thought, like, from a film standpoint, that it just worked so perfectly. Like 2 hours of Deadpool was just pretty much perfect. Like, that's all I needed, and it was great, and now I want more.
Well, what I was gonna say was I thought it was great. I thought it, what you said was exactly right. 2 hours was exactly what I needed or I wanted. And I immediately am worried about, like, oh, they're already saying, like, they're making a Deadpool 2, and, like, casting rumors and all this stuff. And I'm like, do we need a Deadpool 2? Like, like, it was one of those things, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm hoping, like, they can put out a second Deadpool movie that's really great, but I just feel like as soon as, like, they decide to make a second Deadpool and, like, they decide to throw some real money into a budget, it's gonna just get bastardized.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like
it's gonna get watered down. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And honestly, before seeing this movie, if they would have announced like a Deadpool 2 before I saw this movie, I would have kind of felt the same way. But now that I've seen the movie and just seen how good it was, I totally could watch a Deadpool 2. I still would love to see Deadpool in X-Force, in the X-Force movie. Like, that would be, I think, a great follow-up for the character.
Well, yeah, I think that would be a better
use of the character.
Is to not to jump right back into it. Like, do a sequel, but do it in 5 years. But they're never.
Yeah, though they won't do that. But it would be nice if they did kind of move ahead with the X-Force movie and maybe like introduce Cable that way, and then like Cable could be in Deadpool too. I don't know.
I mean, I think they're just saying they're going to put that in Deadpool 2, and they're going to make Deadpool into Wolverine.
Oh, no. Well, I don't want to see that happen. Like, I still like, what?
What they're going to.
Yeah, I mean, I still like the character in small doses. That's the thing, and that's why, like, if there's an X-Force movie, it'd be cool if he was in there because he would be just a part of the cast and he could just jump in with a joke here or there, and it would be great. But yeah, I love the movie. I want to see it again. Hopefully if they do Deadpool 2, they do it right, and they give it as much love as they gave the first one, because you could definitely tell that there was a lot of love and attention put into the script for this movie. So,
of course, and there's a lot of Easter eggs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've heard that what looks like a old ship that they're battling on at the end of the movie. You've heard what ship that's supposed to be, right?
It's a helicarrier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I noticed that in the movie, like I was watching that.
They couldn't call it a helicarrier, I guess, because of the whole
of legal, yeah, rights. Yeah. No, I was the person I was watching that with. I commented to her after the movie. I was like, "Was that a helicarrier?" Because I didn't know Fox was allowed to use that. What's that?
What was the response?
She was like, I guess. Like she was kind of wondering the same thing. So yeah, that was interesting, and I also loved how much they made fun of the fact that they didn't have a huge budget in the movie, and when they go to the mansion and Colossus answers the door, and he's like, "Man, are there really no other X-Men around? Like, why do I just see you? Is that because this movie has a small budget?"
Yeah.
And by the way, I really thought we were gonna see Hugh Jackman in this. Like, I was waiting and waiting. Like, I thought for sure he would show up just for a second
of it, but I'm glad he wasn't. He doesn't need to be in that many movies.
Yeah, I know, but like I thought they were totally going to throw him in just as a joke, like really quick, like they did in First Class. Just a short little clip. Because I mean, he's been in every other X-Men movie.
Well, okay,
like literally every other one.
Wolverine's in enough shit, isn't he?
Yeah, I know, but
Wolverine, okay?
Okay, but it would be perfect as a joke to have him in there. And I mean, I guess I don't want to spoil the movie for people that haven't seen it, but I guess technically he is in one small scene, which I thought was one of the best jokes of the movie. But if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, My favorite cameo in the movie was Ferris Bueller. So there you go.
Nice. Well, apparently it had the biggest. It broke a ton of records. Apparently it had like the biggest opening weekend in February, which it beat out 50 Shades of Grey, which is awesome. It had the best opening weekend in winter, which I guess winter is after December. It beat out American Sniper for that, and it had the biggest opening weekend for an R-rated film, which was The Matrix Reloaded before. So pretty cool. I'm glad it did well. Like I'm most glad that it, well, not most glad, but one aspect of it doing really well that made me happy was just to see that an R-rated movie that really didn't pull any punches could do this well. Like, thank God for that, because now Hollywood will take notice and actually do some stuff that's a little edgier.
Well, I was gonna say my best part about it doing well had nothing to do with the cursing, but had everything to do with the fact that it was people who were trying to be honest and faithful to it, material, and do love to the character as opposed to the previous version of Deadpool, for example.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't water down anything and they were able to just do their thing. So, and I guess on a related note, since this movie did so well with the R rating, I guess they're possibly talking about having Wolverine 3 be rated R.
Okay.
Did you just snort at that, JC?
Yeah, they'll never do that.
I can see them doing that. Like, if they want to tell the story that's a little darker, I mean, I can see them doing that.
But they won't.
Yeah, I think they're actually talking about it. We'll see. All right. And also, I guess the rumor is on Deadpool 2 is that the character they're talking about, which seems obvious, but they're talking about Cable being in Deadpool 2
as Keira Knightley.
Keira Knightley. Oh yes. I forget. I want to give credit to this person or this site. I don't know where I read it from, but someone mentioned Nathan Fillion playing Cable, which I actually kind of am in love with now. I mean, he's obviously like a comedic guy, but if he plays that straight man, opposite Ryan Reynolds, like I think that could actually work.
We'll see. I'm not, like I said, I was happy with the movie. I don't need them to rush into making a sequel right now, but they will.
They will. But what do you think of Nathan Fillion playing Cable? Like, I know it's kind of an oddball choice, but it kind of works with him getting older and stuff now. I think he kind of has that look.
I mean, look, I like Nathan Fillion, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I don't care enough about Cable. I'm sorry.
Okay, JC.
I thought,
but well, you know what Cable is to Deadpool? He's just that guy to play off of, and like Colossus kind of was Cable in the first one. So it's just going to be another variation of that character. But personally, I would rather see Cable in an X-Force movie as he's introduced. I would rather see that. And then he can be in Deadpool too. All right. You want to talk about this next one, JC?
Do I?
Do you care about Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
No.
Really? You don't?
Not about this, but I mean, I care. I enjoyed the movie, and I'm excited to see the sequel. But
I guess the story is there's no Thanos in the second one, which I guess doesn't really surprise me because I think they're kind of saving him now for Infinity War. And obviously he was the villain or he was kind of the big bad in the first one. He didn't really like show up in a huge way, but he was in the movie, so he was kind of making everything go in the first movie. So yeah, it's fine that they're moving away from him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it didn't like I wasn't like, oh my god. I was just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Did you hear that Kurt Russell is going to be in this?
They're saying maybe as
as Star-Lord's father.
Why do we need to do this in movies like that? With
What?
Johnny Depp's father and pirates, and
Oh well, I don't even care about that. But I think this is kind of cool because like they seeded his daddy issues in the first one, so this makes sense. And I like Kurt Russell. Come on, what's not to like about this, JC?
I don't care.
You don't care. Wow, you're just in that bad mood today, aren't you? Just not caring about the world. This guy. How was your Valentine's Day?
How was yours?
It was great. I didn't do anything.
I watched Walking Dead season premiere.
I did too. Actually, we should talk about that later at the end because I don't want to issue the spoiler tag yet. But all right. Moving on to another Marvel property on screen. What did we think of the Daredevil season 2 trailer?
Well, what did you think? I know what I thought.
Well, tell me.
I liked it. I thought it was good. It was a Punisher movie trailer with a little bit of Daredevil.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I'm
Is it dark enough for you, Aaron?
It looks like it's gonna be pretty damn dark.
Is John Barenthal's hair acceptable for you?
No. Actually, that's still the thing that's bugging me because he's gone like full on Marine. Like I still want the slick back hair.
Let's just scrap the whole thing then.
All right, let's do that. I know you know people. Let's make that happen, JC.
All right.
Yeah, it was great. I don't want to go into it too much, but it was fantastic. I'm kind of like getting to that point where I just don't want to see anything else, and I just want to watch the season now. I guess there's a Jessica Jones teaser with some one-offs of different characters because they're already talking about season 2, which is cool. So we had a Luke Cage one sheet, and they had the Purple Man in there too, which I wonder if he's going to show up in season 2 in some way.
Well, we'll see.
I guess that would make sense if they kind of go back into her past some.
I just hope season 2, episode 1 opens up with her on a date with Ant-Man.
That'd be great. Yeah. They need to get they need to have some more movie crossover and have what's his face in there on a date with her. Paul Rudd. Yeah, that guy.
We should kind of go back to front with the series and go into the stuff that happened in the beginning of the series.
What?
They should in season 2. They should do stuff that happened in the beginning of the Alias series.
Oh.
They did stuff at the end of the series in the book.
Oh yeah. No, like I said, I know I mentioned this before. I would like to see them do a little more just more like unrelated cases, working within like an overall plot. But I think that character does kind of. I think it works with more of a procedural. I mean, it doesn't all have to be connected. I was kind of hoping for some more cases in season 1, so hopefully season 2 will satisfy me on that.
Well, I know you were really, really excited about the Game of Thrones season 6 trailer that came out. I believe. What were your exact words? Do I have to watch this trailer?
Yeah. God.
I mean, it's really a teaser.
It's a teaser. Yeah. It's such a cock tease too. It's like they're showing all these dead faces, and then at the end they show like every other one who's still alive. It's like, oh yeah, okay. I'm sure you're gonna kill every character. That's exactly what you're gonna do in this season.
Hey man, you haven't read the book. You don't know what happens.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, that's all I want to do is read the book. I don't want to see season 6.
But
that's not gonna happen.
It's gonna be a fun podcast when season 6 comes out. And,
I know.
And you have to talk about it but you can't talk about it because you haven't watched it because you want to read the book.
No, I'm gonna watch it.
It'll be like when we talked about Alias and Jessica Jones, and you still hadn't finished Alias.
I'm gonna watch it because I have to watch it because I'm gonna get spoiled on stuff, and plus the books aren't gonna come out until like the last book's not gonna come out until after 2020. I'm so convinced of that, and like by the time all the books come out, here's the thing: my terrible memory is gonna come into play and help me out because I'm gonna forget about the TV show and just read the books, and they're going to be fresh, and that's how I'm going to get through that.
Very well.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from Aaron's, Trail of Tears. Let's talk a little Star Wars casting.
Episode 8 casting?
Episode 8.
This was interesting. I did not know this. Tell me about this, JC.
Well, we've got a little Benicio del Toro. I'm sure he'll be a good guy. And we've got a little, we've got a little Laura Dern. I'm sure she'll be a bad guy. And then talented newcomer Kelly Marie Tran, who I don't know who that is.
Did you write that, talented newcomer?
No.
Or was that the studio talk?
Studio doc.
Wow, jeez. Such a shill, JC.
But I mean, Laura Dern, I've heard, obviously they haven't announced what it's going to be. I've heard, possibly.
No, I don't know.
Fuck you.
There's the JC I know and love.
I guess the rumor there is that Laura Dern is going to play Luke Skywalker's love interest.
Really?
Who is also Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter.
Oh, wow. Really?
So Rey is both Obi-Wan's daughter or Obi-Wan's granddaughter and Luke's daughter.
Wait, you really think Laura Dern's going to be the mother?
I mean, take it all with a grain of salt.
Okay, I totally am.
Rumors. And Benicio, who the hell knows? I'm sure he's, a bad guy.
I'm sure he's some guy that will only be able to half understand.
It'd be great if he was like Darth Maul.
Oh, jeez.
Like literally this, like the same species, doesn't speak and then just gets chopped in half.
Yeah. As much as I might be amused by that, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Maybe he's the Darth Banks.
So do we like this news? Do we like this guy?
I love Benicio. I mean, Laura Dern's
I do too.
Actress, so yeah. I mean, I'm down to watch.
Cool.
I mean, this isn't going to stop me from watching Star Wars 8, if that's the question.
No. I'm just asking, do we like it? I mean, I think they're both talented actors, so I think there's nothing not to like.
Yeah.
I don't know about the talented newcomer Kelly Marie Tran though. I don't know if I trust that talented moniker they put on her already. Yeah. I don't know. She's a newcomer. How do I know she's talented?
I mean, she's probably been in something.
All right. Anyways, so from the good to the bad, I read this article, and this just cannot bode well for this film. But more Batman vs Superman news. Apparently, the title of the article is this: Report: Batman v Superman response could lead to major shifts in DC Films' plan. And the first line of the article is: the internal response to high-profile DC Comics-based feature Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice isn't what Warner Brothers had been hoping for thus far. Now, this kind of contradicts a report that I heard months ago when the movie was pretty much done and it was screened for a lot of Warner Brothers executives, and the report out of that was people were loving the movie. So I don't know what this reaction is where this reaction is coming from, but it's not good, JC, because this movie's coming out next month, and there's already like some people are already painting it as a failure.
Well, here's the thing: it's not a failure. It's not going to be a failure. Like, it's going to make a shitload of money. it might not make the shitload of money that they want it to make. And yes, obviously, if it doesn't make the shitload of money they make, the first movie in a whatever, trilogy or whatever, if that fails, then obviously it's going to change the trajectory of the whole thing, right? We'll see.
Yeah, apparently this guy named Drew McWeeny, which is a great name.
Sounds like a good source.
Of HitFix. I guess that's a website. But he's citing unnamed sources, and he is the quote is, "Response has not been exactly what I think they wanted." And he also mentioned he predicted seismic shifts at Warner Brothers, and if the movie doesn't make $1 billion, people are not going to keep their jobs. So that's pretty aggressive. I mean, like a movie has to make $1 billion now for it to be considered a success. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Well, I mean,
what was the budget on this movie?
First of all, I've never heard of this website or this guy, so this sounds kind of like clickbait.
Yeah.
In order to drive traffic to his website that I again haven't heard of.
Yeah, that's true. I just mention it because it seemed to be going around.
Well, I mean, it's the internet. Anything will go around. But yeah, I mean, if you look at like movies that have made $1 billion, like, there's a bunch of them now. And yeah, Dark Knight, I guess looks like the last two Dark Knight movies look like the only DC ones. So, obviously they expect their movie that has Superman and like Batman and Wonder Woman and all that to make at least $1 billion. It's not, it's obviously not a number that a lot of movies have ever done, but I mean, when the Avengers, both Avengers movies have made over $1 billion, then they expect it to do that kind of money.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I'm sure there are people who will lose their job if it doesn't, because that's what it comes down to for those people. Yeah. It's not about, art and about all that crap. It's about, is this going to make money? But who cares? If it ends up being a good movie, it's going to have a good response and make a lot of money. If it's a bad movie, it's not going to. And then good, we don't want to see the other movies if it's a bad movie, right?
That's true. Yeah, no, totally. I just, it would suck if it was a good movie and people didn't, or not enough people saw it for them to move ahead with the other films,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that'll be the case. I think if it's a good, it's Batman and Superman. Like, if it's a good movie, the people will come.
Yeah, well, everything I've seen of it so far makes me want to see the movie, and it looks like a good movie from everything I've seen. So I do hope that it is good. And
yeah, my only gripe with the marketing is they've shown us too much of the movie. Potentially.
Yeah, that's mine too. Yeah.
We don't know obviously what's in the whole movie.
Right.
But I don't not want to see it. I want to go see it. So yeah. I don't know anyone who's saying like, oh, I don't want to see that. Except for people who aren't going to go see that anyway.
Yes. All right. Well, enough of that. This movie's out in it's less than a month now, so we'll be talking about it more very soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Should we talk about some comics?
Let's talk about some comics. Yeah. We've both been reading stuff, I think. Actually, so I finally finished up kind of Marvel's big event. It was a long time coming, but this event's finally over. In the time that this event happened, Marvel basically did a soft relaunch of their universe while the event was still going on because of all the delays. But of course, I'm talking about Marvel's Secret Wars. And I did finish all 9 issues, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say about it, but I'm kind of curious what you thought of it, JC, kind of coming into it a little bit colder because you didn't read the Avengers issues that led into this event.
I'd like to make a big visible yawn, but I can't do that.
Oh, really? Damn, it's like that?
No, I
That
mean,
was
like,
boring, huh?
I mean, it was. There were aspects of it that were fun. There was good art, and it wasn't like a poorly written book or anything like that. But I feel like I've seen this before, and I knew where it was kind of going, so I was just kind of, yeah, bored, I guess. It was interesting to see this kind of the whole thing play out, but it wasn't. It didn't do it for me.
Hmm.
I didn't like. I didn't. I. There's nothing about this that to me. I'm like, oh, you need to go read this. This is one of the great, comic book crossover, multi-universe things that have happened. I'm like, you don't need to read it. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Well,
bad. It wasn't bad. I don't. I just. It just didn't. You know. There's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff in there, but it's just. Yeah.
yeah. So I obviously have a different perspective because I read Hickman's Avengers run leading into this. So I had a lot more kind of like lead up and backstory going into this, which I do think the book stands on its own, by the way. Like, you don't need to read the Avengers titles or anything else. Or also, you could also include Hickman's Fantastic Four run in that as well, because he basically went from Fantastic Four kind of into the Avengers, and both of those books, what's the word I'm looking for? They have something to say in Secret Wars if you've read them. So you I mean, you're I think better served if you had read kind of. I mean, I know this is like a lot to ask, but if you've read all of Hickman's Marvel work leading into this event, like, it does kind of take on a different dimension. Um, Personally, I thought the character work was pretty great in this book. I love when Hickman writes Doom, and I think he's one of the best writers of Doom that I've personally witnessed. So I always like it when he writes Doom. Um, I thought this story was, you know, I didn't think it was like super like visceral, action packed. It wasn't like over the top action. I mean, I thought it was a little more character focused, um, and I thought the art was fantastic. I thought Isab Ribic was great. What did you think about the art specifically?
Yeah. No, I thought the art was great. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff to play with um, in the series, and there's a lot of cool moments. So there's a lot of opportunities for different types of art and some creativity.
Yeah,
Um,
and without spoiling the story, I mean, I did like how it came down to. I mean, like Doctor Doom. Well, like, Doctor Doom's the villain of the story, so you can surmise who would be ultimately kind of facing off against him. And if you've seen the covers for the books, it's pretty obvious too.
right. I mean,
So
it seemed to be a Fantastic Four book more so than.
yeah, by the end, it was a Fantastic Four book, and one thing I actually really appreciated about the book was that at the end, it was kind of Hickman putting a coda on his Fantastic Four run, but also his Marvel run. Like, he wrapped it up, and I I don't know if he's ever planning on coming back to Marvel, but I feel like if you read his Fantastic Four run, you got a nice ending to it as a whole, and I really appreciated that personally. So, I mean, I can see your criticisms, like, they definitely are valid. I feel like I got more out of the book, just because I had a little more backstory going into it. And maybe, if you ever read his FF run, you and reread this, you may feel differently. Who knows?
Perhaps no. I mean, I'm like I said, I don't think it was a bad book. I just um, it didn't go anywhere that I thought was necessarily new. I kind of knew what was going to happen. Um,
Yeah, but I guess if you just look at it as, like, it really was an Elseworlds book. I mean,
right.
just you know, Doom created a new universe, and here's the story of the rise and fall of that universe. That's basically what it was.
No, and it was interesting for that. It just, like I said, I don't think, I don't know that it's a must-read, thing that's going to go down in the pantheon of comics.
Yeah, I think I would say if you include it in Hickman's larger work, and you include it with his FF run and his Avengers run, I would say that it is one of the standout runs in Marvel Comics in recent memory. I would put that. I mean, I think overall, like if I'm putting his Avengers run, his FF run, and Secret Wars all in one bundle, and I know this is kind of cheating, but for me, it's definitely in the top 10. Probably definitely favorite Marvel things that I've read.
Well, I mean, we're all entitled to opinions, and we're all entitled to be wrong.
Well, hey, no. Well, you can't say that because you haven't read his Avengers and FF
no,
run.
of course. I was.
We can talk about it once you read that.
I was talking about Secret Wars as a, like as you said, as like an Elseworld title, as a standalone. When this trade comes out, I'm not going to give it to anyone and say, here, read this. You should read this to see how great comics are these days, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think, though, if people were asking for like a good Doctor Doom story, I mean, I think you could hand him the trade and be like, this is a good Doctor Doom story.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I just feel like it's very not a normal Doctor Doom, so it's like,
Yeah, but it's like Doom at his like ultimate version of himself. I mean, if this is the Doctor Doom that Doctor Doom could create, like this is who he would create, because this is what he did create. He created the whole universe.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm glad you at least read it. Hopefully it doesn't turn you off enough that you don't read Hickman's other Marvel stuff, because I do really feel like it was
like, I didn't think it was like poorly written or that he's a bad writer. These kind of events don't really do it for me, because the ultimate goal is they want to reboot the universe into a new unknown universe where none of this stuff really matters. So it's like the ultimate end goal. From issue 1, you know how issue 9 is going to end, essentially. So then it just becomes, well, was that interesting? And it was interesting, but it just wasn't. It didn't do anything remarkable for me.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Did you read? I think there's only maybe one other book we wanted to touch on briefly, but did you happen to read Jonesy #1?
I did.
You did. Yeah. So this is about as completely different a book as you can get from Secret Wars. But I had the pleasure of reading issue 1. It's written by Sam Humphries and published by Boom Studios, another Boom book. And just really quick, I just want to say that I found it a lot of fun, and it's about a girl who's in high school who basically gets the power to make people fall in love, right? She's kind of a Cupid.
Yeah.
Right?
You could say that.
Yeah, and like I'll be honest, I read the book because it's written by Sam Humphries, so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like going into the book, I didn't really think I was gonna like it, and surprisingly, I found myself really enjoying it. Like I feel like I'm not really the target audience for this book, but after reading it, I genuinely did enjoy it. It's a fun read and a lot of good dialogue, and yeah, I was having fun with it.
Well, Aaron, this is an unrelated aside. I don't think that you don't. There's nothing you don't like, apparently. But
there's plenty I don't like.
Just the Game of Thrones TV show. But that being said, no, I thought it was a fun book. It's definitely not aimed at our audience. I don't think, or us. But for the audience it's intended for, I think it's a fun book. I mean, I enjoyed it on that level. I wasn't.
Yeah, but I think even like, I mean, I think my point is that I know the book's not really meant for me, but I still really enjoyed it. So I think it kind of crossed those lines a little bit, you know? Like, it shouldn't have been a book that I was into, but I found myself being into it.
Well, I'll try not to psychoanalyze that.
Okay. Yeah, please don't. My head might explode.
But no, like it's a good book. I would recommend it. I don't know that I recommend it for our audience again, just because I assume that, like us, our audience is a bunch of degenerates.
Well, speak for yourself, JC.
I was speaking.
I would recommend it. It's only 4 issues. I would definitely recommend it. Sorry, I just talked over you.
Yep. And I was
egregiously too.
What else is new?
Apparently nothing. I think I made it like 1 episode without just talking over you in a terrible way.
That would be inaccurate.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, just want to mention that book.
I think we wanted to talk a little spoiler cast, Walking Dead season.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I didn't have that on there, but yeah. Let's go ahead and issue the spoiler warning. For those of you that have not seen episode 8 of The Walking Dead, it's episode 8, right? Or is it episode 9?
The mid-season 6.
Whatever, mid-season premiere. For those of you that have not seen the mid-season premiere, please go away now. It was great having you, and we'll see you next time. TheComicsStew.com, at TheComicsStew, TheComicsStew@gmail.com. Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Now, on to the spoilers. All right, JC.
Well, this one this was a Valentine's Day episode for sure. It was for the love.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of loving in this episode. Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I just gotta bring up, because obviously we were left off on a huge cliffhanger, and at the end of the last episode with the kid saying "mom," which is never even mentioned in this entire episode. Like, as soon as they walk down the steps, he basically says it, and it just cuts to them like in the middle of the town. And
well,
are we just to surmise that like none of the zombies heard him say anything? Okay. Or was that a dream? Was it an imagination? Like, what the hell happened?
Apparently he didn't say it very loud. I am forgiving that, because I'm glad that didn't just start. They didn't start the episode with everyone getting eaten as a result of this whiny little kid.
Yeah, they just made us wait until like halfway through the episode for him to get viciously eaten.
Some stuff happened.
Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, obviously there was a couple of big deaths with Jesse and Sam and Ron. I mean, so but beyond that, this episode to me really felt like a victory, very victorious episode. Like, there was a lot of ass kicking in this episode. Like, I was like,
so I have to ask,
like getting up and just like, hell yeah, by the end of this episode.
I have to ask about a different spoiler moment, because I saw it coming, but I don't know if you saw it coming.
What is it?
When Daryl dispatched.
Oh. Wait. You mean the best moment in the episode?
Now, did you see that coming?
No, I didn't. I was expecting either. Well, I was actually expecting Sasha to die at that time. Like,
I will say, I'm not sure. Like, I wasn't like expecting none of them to die, but I definitely was sure when they sent someone by themselves to the back of the truck with Daryl, that was a mistake. Yeah.
See, I was so caught up in the scene and like what was going on with the back and forth between those guys. Like, I forgot about Daryl. I totally did.
You never forget about Daryl. I was just like,
I know.
I was like, Daryl's been off screen for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And you know the guy didn't overpower Daryl. So
oh my God. And by the way, I forgot about that rocket launcher too. I forgot about Daryl, but I forgot about that rocket launcher.
I hadn't forgotten about the rocket launcher either. So I was like, Daryl's been gone for a long time. One of two things was going to happen. It was Daryl was going to kill just one person, or he was going to take them all out.
No. This is Daryl Dixon. He takes them all out.
So
my God, that was quite possibly the coolest moment in the entire show.
And there are some cool moments later on in the episode.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, I mean, how far have you read of the Walking Dead comic?
I'm about to get myself into the second Omniboo.
Okay, so all right, so that's like issue 49. So, I mean, you've seen this part of the show. It's not a spoiler for me to say that the comic definitely issues very closely to what happens in the show in this case. Like, there's a moment in the comic where they basically take out an entire horde themselves, and that's kind of like the moment of them realizing, like, we are better than these zombies, and there's nothing that can beat us besides other humans.
Right. No, and that was what I took from that, and I also thought it was like kind of the moment, obviously, in the show where they become truly Alexandrians because the Alexandrians step up.
Right.
Other than the ones that were eaten.
Or you could say the Alexandrians become part of Rick's group.
Right. However you want to spin that one.
Yeah.
But I'll
spin it however I want, JC.
Well, of course you will. But I did. Someone was saying to me, well, don't you think they would have been overwhelmed or whatever? And it reminded me of a number of scenes in the show, like Tyrese going hog wild by himself.
Yeah.
So having a whole crew that knows how to kill. It's not like those.
Right.
It's not like those zombies were like that densely populated. There were a lot of them, but it was it wasn't like they were all in one spot.
Well, and obviously, yeah, when Daryl like lights the lake on fire and a ton of them go into the lake and die, I mean, that's kind of like even in the odds too. But you got to think like having a ton of people who are just trained, experienced killers at this point, like just jacked up with adrenaline, like going at a big group of zombies, like they could conceivably take out a huge group of zombies. Yeah. I could see that. But that was the coolest friggin' part when it goes slow-mo when Rick drops off Carl and you just see the axe like drop down and he opens the door and goes out there. I'm just like, oh damn, it's about to go down, son.
I was kind of upset that the Coral didn't get to take out his nemesis, that Michonne had to do it for him.
Wait. Oh, Carl. Yeah. Well, no, I kind of assumed that was gonna happen because I figured if anyone's gonna shoot Carl in the eye, it's gonna be Ron.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure Carl's not gonna kill Ron after that.
But hey, how come if Michonne had chopped off Ron's head instead of sticking him through the back, he wouldn't have been able to get that shot off?
Yeah, well, Carl had to get shot in the eye somewhere.
Yeah, right.
As readers of the comics know, Carl has to get shot in the eye some way.
Speaking of characters that don't make it in the comic, that I totally thought was going to die in this episode was when the good Reverend takes baby Judith. I was like, that baby's dead.
No, I didn't think that at all. Actually, I was, and by the way, I'm coming around on that character because I thought it was a great moment when he like turns around to the congregation and is like, God's given us the courage to win this ourselves, and walks out. Like, that was a great moment.
It would have been great if he had gotten eaten right after that.
No, please. Negative. No.
It would have been funny.
No, it was a great episode, and I think the just knowing what I think is going to happen in the rest of this season. Apparently, the writers are kind of showing us how good it can be before it gets real bad, because I think it's going to get real bad later in this season. We only heard the name of Negan, but I think it's going to get real bad because of that character very soon.
You think he saw that small little explosion?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I have no idea how we're going to get introduced to him. I hope we run into a character called Jesus in later in this season because he's a cool character from the books. But yeah, I don't know how they're gonna introduce Negan. It's funny because I'm actually reading in the last like 3 days. I've read like 2 of those hardcovers. I'm on the 7th hardcover, which actually coincidentally kind of covers the same area where the show's in right now. They're in Alexandria. Rick has kind of like ingratiated himself into the community. Like that's where I kind of left off. And like the next big thing is going to be Negan. So I'm rereading it and I'm going to see how it goes down in the comic. And I'm sure they're not going to do it the same way in the show, but I'm sure there'll be some cues in the comic.
I would think so. I mean, they always do things pretty close, but a little bit different.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because like rereading the comic, I haven't read the comic in so long, and it's funny. Just it's like wow, there's so much stuff that is really similar because I guess I hadn't really read much of the comic since the show was in like the 2nd or 3rd season, and yeah, it's just I always kind of consider the show like its own thing. And just reading the book, it's like, wow, actually, they took a lot of the show like directly from the comic. Like, there's a lot of that in there still.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's obviously big differences, but they get it. They do it pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
Like anything, when you adapt it, you have got to change certain things for whatever reasons.
Yeah, and I guess my thing is just like I actually really appreciated that they made the show its own thing. So it was kind of just funny to like go back and read the book and realize like, oh wow, a lot of these little details are actually the same in both of them. So yeah, so great episode. Really excited about Sunday.
Yeah,
seeing the second one. And you know who they cast as Negan, right?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, right?
Yes, sir. Should be good. I'm glad they got a good actor for that.
We shall see.
Yes, we shall. All right. Should we wrap this up?
I think that's about good.
Into the spoiler cast. All right, cool. Well, thanks for being with us, people. Join us again next week. For JC, I'm Aaron. You can find us at thecomicstew.com, at the Comic Stew on Twitter, at JC Argensinger for his Instagram, because I know y'all be wanting to go there. You got any new stuff on there, JC?
I'm sure I do.
Always?
Usually.
Yeah.
You can find Aaron.
Oh, sorry. You were about to actually like say something about me too. I should have really just shut my mouth.
Yeah, it's lost to the ether.
All right, fine. Yeah, there's nothing to pimp about me anyways. We had a rain out last night for a hockey game, so I think we've had like 3 or 4 rainouts so far this season, JC?
A bunch.
We don't even have a win yet.
We have more rainouts than we have wins, let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, by like 2 or 3 times. All right. Yeah, we'll see y'all later. Email us at thecomicstew@gmail.com if you got any complaints about JC. I may actually email in just to get a few things off my chest. But we'll see you next week and have a great rest of the week. We really need to come up with like a nice jingle at the end, something. I'll let you do that, JC.
You don't want me to do that.
No, come on. You can come up with something. A nice little outro bit. Just work on that.
All right.
Okay.
See you later, fuckers.